I was pretty tight for cash, and yeah, slightly drunk too. I entered that old hotel building on a bet with my friend Tommy for an amount of money I'm even ashamed to say. The story goes that back in 1958, the hotel owner who worked day in and day out and even resided there went completely insane, believing he was stuck in some sort of time loop. He apparently went missing for 13 months, and then his mangled body was found in the side alley of the hotel, after presumably diving out of the 26th floor stairwell window. His face was disfigured from the injuries, but the coroner's pictures show his insane grin stretched fully across his face and gave all of the detectives nightmares. Since his death, there have been countless stories of ghost sightings, poltergeist happenings, and even reports that several people went missing after staying in his executive suite on the 49th floor. It became something of an urban legend, even drawing in the customers, until it eventually closed and shut its doors in 1975 after a murder-suicide investigation plummeted sales and people just stopped going. Now, I wasn't one to believe in all this ghostly time loop bullshit, and perhaps the fact that I was a non-believer is actually the reason why I'm stuck in this mess. Emphasis on the word was, because I'm a believer now.
Okay, so pretty simple, bud. Enter the hotel via the stairwell fire door,
Which is already broken and open.
Yes, thank you. Climb the stairs all the way to the top and take a selfie of yourself stood next to the 49th floor sign thing. Simple.
Tommy finished with a single clap of the hands and a single closed-lipped grin.
That's it? That's it? And when you get back with photographic proof or even a video if you want, I'll pay up.
He then tapped the left breast pocket of his jacket, indicating where his wallet was, and the money was there. It was the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 in the morning, I'm honestly not sure. Pitch black, deathly quiet, and completely lifeless streets. I wasn't scared, but let's just say that basic human instinct took over, and I suppose I gave the impression that I was scared.
So, where are you gonna be? I mean, like, where are you gonna be waiting for me while I'm climbing these millions of stairs and apparently warding off evil spirits?
I thought I'd managed to hide it under the humor, but Tommy saw straight through me, and a smug smile began to form in the corner of his mouth.
Hey man, if you don't want to do it, or you need me to hold your hand, or you want me to wait at the bottom of the stairs and keep shouting, "Are you okay?" then the deal is off, no payment.
Again, he finished with a closed-lipped grin. I exhaled loudly for a pissed-off effect, slapped Tommy on the shoulder, and proudly walked across the road towards the alleyway, alone. Before being completely engulfed by the shadows, I turned to look over my shoulder at Tommy, and I see him attempting to keep his balance as he drunkenly slumps to the curb. Okay, good. He isn't going anywhere anytime soon, I thought to myself. I continued in the shadows in search of a broken fire door that leads directly into the building. Rumor has it that some teenagers jimmied a door a couple months ago and the police, or whoever's job it is, never sealed it back up again. I was just getting my phone out of my pocket for a light source when a loud rusty creak from the right made my heart skip a beat or two. A beam of light escaped through the narrow opening of the door. The fact that the hotel is abandoned and has absolutely no power didn't even enter my slightly intoxicated brain at the time. I was just glad to have some light. I poked my fingers through and quickly pulled the door open. The light was pure and ultra bright. It took me a moment for my eyes to adjust and stop squinting. I walked through the threshold with a smile. After all, I was expecting complete darkness. The building didn't seem creepy at all. Very clean and well decorated, but perhaps a bit out of date, but still clean. As I ascended each platform and took note of what floor I was on, it progressively got colder, louder, and slightly windier. Must be a window open or broken somewhere. 23, 24, 25, 26. The 26th floor was particularly cold and windy. I didn't like that floor. I swear someone touched me on the leg as I made my way up to 27. Just the lightest of touches, but I swear I felt it. I'll run down those steps on the way back. 32, 33, 34. I was getting pretty tired by this point, and apart from a potential leg touching, no other signs of ghosts or demons or anything supernatural had happened. And I was feeling pretty good with myself for making easy money out of my drunken friend. 40. Okay, yeah, pretty out of breath by this point, but I'd come too far to fail now. I decided to take a quick 30-second break, lean on the windowsill, and peer out of the window in search of Tommy. I could very clearly make him out, but the guy sat next to him seemed kind of blurry. They were in full conversation, their arms waving and flailing in the air with drunken coordination, and continuously passing a bottle back and forth. Seemed harmless enough. Got a new friend there, Tommy boy? It was weird to hear my own voice echo and bounce off the walls. I sucked in more oxygen and continued on my mission. 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 48, 48. What the fuck? I stopped on the platform to help catch my breath once more, leaning on my knees as if it would help my lungs absorb oxygen quicker. I kept turning around and looking down the steps I had just scaled, looking up the stairwell to the steps yet to come. What the fuck? I climbed another set. 48. Another set. 48. I stopped and just shook my head to myself. Surely I was just seeing things. I climbed another set. 48. Okay, that's it. Fuck this shit. I swiftly whipped out my phone, took a strange-looking selfie of me next to the brass plaque stating I was on the 48th floor, and I began descending the fuck out of there. At least down is so much easier, I thought to myself. Floor 48. Floor 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. I went down 20 or 30 flights maybe, but at each and every level, the brass plaque still stated that I was on the 48th floor. I went up and down those stairs God knows how many times. I tried every single door at each level too, just in case one was left open and I could escape a different way. Not a single door opened. They were all solidly locked, dead-bolted, welded, cemented, who fucking knows? But the doors were not opening for anyone. I can honestly tell you I had absolutely no idea what floor I was on when the idea of calling Tommy finally entered my mind. I guess I should have kept count from the moment I saw the second 48th plaque, but I was far too freaked out by then to plan that part. Yes, my phone had full signal. I quickly tapped and flickered through my contacts until I reached Tommy's number. I walked to the window as the phone began to ring. I could no longer see Tommy or his newfound friend. The phone was ringing in my ear over and over. My eyes widened as I scanned the dark streets back and forth, back and forth. There was no sign of Tommy, no sign of anyone. The phone continued to ring as I pulled it away from my ear. The screen lit up showing Tommy's name and phone number. I swiped the red icon and cut off the call. That was when I realized the time and date. 4:23 p.m., September 5th, 2015. Whoa. What the actual fuck? Firstly, my phone's saying that it's nearly 4 in the afternoon, yet it's still pitch black outside, and surely I haven't been in this building for over 12 hours. And secondly, how in the hell is it 2015? By this point, I'd sat down on one of the steps, my left hand supporting my head, and my phone loosely held in my right. I wanted to call the police, but I feared that they wouldn't believe me. I thought about it over and then finally concluded that I'd much rather be made a fool by officers than left stranded in an abandoned hotel and stuck on a never-ending floor. I unlocked my phone's screen to dial the 3 magical numbers when my heart skipped a beat again. I couldn't believe my own eyes. 3:45 a.m., August 14th, 2013. What? I locked and unlocked my phone once more. 10:56 p.m., March 29th, 1959. No, fuck off. I dropped my phone out of my hand on purpose and let it crash to the cement. I heard the inevitable smashing sound as it hit the cement screen down, and I closed my eyes with pure regret. I stood up and paced in a circle on the tiny platform between levels. I was pretty shocked my phone was still alive, never mind receiving messages. The moment I leaned over to retrieve my half-broken phone, a loud and brain-shattering crash echoed through the stairwell. Up and down, the sound reverberated back and forth against itself, which somehow made it louder, and I instinctively covered my ears. The sound was harrowing, terrifying, and disturbing in many ways that I just can't quite describe. It was freezing cold and whipping around my body like some sort of sound wind. I had to climb 22 more flights of stairs before I could no longer hear the sound and finally feel my fingers again. It was much darker up here though, but I set up camp anyway. This was now my floor. By this point, I had already lost touch with reality and had absolutely no clue what time it was. I sat in a slump and began to cry. I'd been desperately crying for a while when the lights finally went out. Fuck. The sudden darkness gave way to the beginning of my madness. I screamed for a very long time. I screamed and screamed and screamed and I screamed. I screamed until my voice finally gave way. I imagined that the inside of my throat was a chunk of raw meat that had been rubbed with coarse sandpaper. After my voice collapsed, I started on the walls. I didn't want to use my hands, so I kicked them instead. Over and over again, eventually breaking every single toe. When the adrenaline ran out and I could no longer stand, I fell into a deep and agonizing pit of despair for what seemed like years. Oh my God. Stuck in my own madness, I'd completely forgotten about my phone. I unlocked my phone full of hope. The light shot through my retinas like lasers, and I attempted to let out a little scream, but nothing will escape my vocal cords now, so my mouth just draped open with anguish. 12:15 p.m., January 2nd, 2019. This time, I just smiled. I walked into this building on January 2nd, 2009. My screen was only slightly smashed, so I could still use it. First I tried calling Tommy again, but there was no dial tone and the voice that spoke was not exactly what I expected to hear. It was low and whispering, raspy and fast. Take the leap to 49. Take the leap to 49. Take the leap to 49. I hung up, smiling. I tried calling the police. Take the leap to 49. Take the leap to 49. I hung up again. My shoulders were swiftly moving up and down in accordance with my soundless laughter. It felt pretty good. Now I can't stop silently laughing to myself. I wanted to claw my own eyes out by this point, and I needed something to keep my hands occupied, so I decided to tell you all my story on here. I thought maybe someone might get a kick out of it, or maybe someone could help me. I don't know. I just kind of want to take that leap if I'm honest. The thought just makes me smile. After all, it's just basic human instinct. When my smiling face hit the floor, I thought it was finally over. The air felt warm as it rushed through my raw windpipe. Maybe it wasn't warm, and maybe I'd just been cold for so long. If you think you'd be able to keep your eyes open in a free fall, then you're wrong. I can tell you now that it's impossible. I can also tell you that you will feel an unbelievable agony. Is it worse than that spiral of insanity? Yes. Maybe. Imagine the worst hangover you've ever had and multiply that by 1,000, then take a drill to your skull and repeatedly drill for 10 years. That would roughly match the immense pain of one's head smashing clean into the ground. When the pain finally stopped and I opened my eyes, Tommy was waving the bottle of whiskey in my face. Hey, do you want any more or what? We were sat on the curb across from the street on the hotel I'd just leapt from. Huh? What the fuck? Tommy was persistently and drunkenly waving the glass bottle closer and closer to my face until I'd finally grabbed it from him and pushed his drinking ass away from me. I drank that whiskey like it was a crisp and fresh water from the Swiss Alps. I took in a deep breath once I'd finished, expecting to vomit the whole thing back up again, but my stomach seemed to be handling it. Perhaps my brain told my stomach to hold on. Wait until the toxins at least reach me, dude. Then you can throw it up all you want. My mind was running at half capacity, and I could barely think. My memory was starting to become foggier by the second, and I passed the bottle back to Tommy as I pretended to listen to his drunken nonsense of a story, but in reality I couldn't hear a single word he was saying. My eyes locked onto the person standing in the window peering at us. The silhouette could only just be made out. They were standing in darkness, directly in the center of the first floor window pane. It was unsettling feeling their eyes on us, watching us. Tommy accidentally hit me in the face with his forever flailing arms and I bat him away again. Dude, ow! Fucking watch what you're doing! Sorry, man, but... Listen, I lost interest once more and I returned my focus to the person in the window, the one that was no longer there. I squinted my eyes as if to zoom in on the window across the road. Nothing. I could hear music. Tommy finally stopped talking. I guess he could hear it too. The music got louder as he pulled his phone from his jacket pocket. You're calling me from your pocket again, dude. Oh. I patted my own jacket and searched for my phone. I stood up and checked every pocket I was wearing. No phone. Where could it... Wait. I pointed at the hotel building across the road and confusedly looked back at Tommy. Did I already go in there? Huh? What? Tommy looked more drunk than confused, and I realized I wasn't getting a competent answer from him anytime soon. Tommy, I think you just need to go home, man. You're way too drunk and in need of a sleep. I expected him to give more of a fight. He normally does when he's inebriated, but he instantly nodded his head in agreement and slowly began to rise to a wobbling mess of a stance. I watched him slowly sway down the street and eventually out of sight. As I walked into the shadows of the side alley, I fell over something metal that clanged and echoed throughout. It was a crowbar. I couldn't see it, but I knew what it was. I felt around in the darkness for the door I somehow knew was there. I popped the crowbar into the tiny slither between the door and the frame and jimmied that fire door open with one swift movement. A beam of light escaped through the narrow opening of the door. I poked my fingers through and quickly pulled the door open. The light was pure and ultra bright. It took me a moment for my eyes to adjust and stop squinting. Whoa. Have I done this before? 6, 7, 8. I take the steps 2 by 2 with my eyes constantly on the ground searching for my lost phone. Is it even in here? 23, 24, 25, 26. Was I expecting to find it? No. Did I find it? Yes. In the middle of the platform of the 26th floor. The moment I leaned over to retrieve my half-broken phone, a loud and brain-shattering crash echoed through the stairwell. Up and down, the sound reverberating back and forth against itself and somehow made it louder. And I instinctively covered my ears. Okay, that's a really strange feeling. Have I actually done this before? I curl into a ball and sit in the corner of the platform between levels. The sound wind whipped around my face and body as I hid from reality behind my own arms like a 5-year-old child. Throughout the howling, I could hear approaching footsteps increasingly getting louder. Someone's coming up the stairs. I'm still slumped in the corner, but now I bravely raise my head. My mouth fell open in disbelief as the familiar figure came into view from the stairs. It was me. I'm surprised I moved at all. But as he passed me, completely ignoring my presence, I reached out to see if he was real. But he was moving pretty fast and I only managed to graze his leg. I say graze, but it felt more like I went through him or me. Do I follow him? Yes. No, okay, I don't know. Wait, send him a message. I unlocked my phone, got rid of the current Reddit page that I was open to, and typed out a message to him or me. Get out. Honestly, I don't know what else to put. I heard the phone's tone vibrate down through the stairs. Surely he'd message back, will he? Oh my god, I'm getting so confused. After waiting a couple of minutes and receiving no reply, I decided to take a different approach. I had no idea what was happening, but I had to do something. I figured if I couldn't touch him or me, that I had to at least try to get his attention. I still had the crowbar next to me, and I acted out in a sudden idea before I fully thought it through. I flung the crowbar over my shoulder and swung it like a baseball bat as fast as I could at the window pane on floor 26. The single pane shattered into a billion pieces, flying in all directions, including my face and open mouth. Hundreds of tiny shards fly to the back of my throat, and I began to gag and gasp for air. I swallowed hard, lining my windpipe with sharding diamonds, and I continued to swallow over and over to take away the agonizing sting. For my shattering blow, the sound wind returned and whisked up and down the stairwell once more. I could now hear crying and whimpering in the distance. Upstairs. Was it him? He'd been desperately crying for a while now when the lights went out. Fuck. The sudden darkness gave way to the beginning of his screams. He screamed for a very long time. He screamed and screamed and screamed. I covered my ears, but it helped nothing. After he finally stopped screaming, I guess his voice gave in. I could hear him hitting the walls, kicking or punching them over and over and over again. After what seemed like an eternity, the pounding finally stopped. The atmosphere fell into a deep and agonizing pit of despair for what seemed like years. I thought I tried messaging him again. I sent the same message and I heard the same as before, but I still never received a reply. As I waited, I decided to go through my phone and reopen the Reddit page I closed before. I read the entire entry I'd apparently already written, and the insanity spiral hit me like a crumbling tower of bricks. My phone lit up immediately. It was him. Him. My badly cut throat could only muster a low and raspy voice, and I said the only words I could think of. Take the leap to 49. 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 Take the leap to 49.